as the local climate change expenditure tagging, building the LGUs capacity to undertake CCET. May I call on our colleague, Mr. Francisco Dacumos of the CCET Help Desk, Implementation Oversight Division, Climate Change Commission. Franz, over to you.
Okay, hello, Joe. Yeah, let me just share my screen. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, so, okay. So I will be discussing to you now yung ating climate change expenditure tagging, but for the local naman po, or what we tackle in the subnational na ating mga constituents. So here, yung nakikita po natin dito is yung process guide for CCET for LGUs. So we released this process guide. Nakikita po siya sa ating DBM Local Budget Memorandum number 80 that was in May 2020, May 18, 2020 issued na nasa Annex M. But nonetheless, this process guide tries to provide an illustrative na example kung saan po pumapasok yung ating climate change rationale in our planning and programming na stage. So as you may have learned earlier during the AM, we need first to establish po yung ating climate change rationale. So if we know ang ating mga subnational or ating mga LGUs conduct yung ating climate and disaster risk assessment, and that will give them yung tinatawag na climate risk information. At the same time, they are encouraged to conduct a greenhouse gas accounting and inventory that will give them information on the sectoral GHG emissions. So the information above, dun po sa ating climate risk information that will be used for determining or designing and prioritizing ano po yung ating mga adaptation ng mga strategies. Below, yun po yung magde-determine kung ano po yung ating ipaprioritize na climate change mitigation strategies. So just to reiterate, ito po ay hindi disaster risk mitigation but rather yung CC mitigation or those that address yung greenhouse gas emissions and enhance yung ating mga sinks or basically yung ating mga forests. Of course, i-mainstream po natin siya sa ating CLUP, which will be then translated sa ating zoning regulation, at the same time translated into our investment opportunities through our comprehensive development plan. So what we will be talking about here is nasa step 3 po tayo ng ating process guide. So this may not be related to you as a planning or budget officer, but this supplicates sa ating mga research and extension ng mga capacities as state universities and college. So yung ating CCC, meron po tayong ACT Local Program. So basically yung ating ACT Local Program is the partnership program of the Commission to deliver yung ating tinatawag na core orientation or yung Communities for Resilience Orientation and Training through the creation of climate change consortiums. Basically a consortium or a body of local governments and oversight agencies as well as yung mga higher education institutions and mga state universities and colleges. So if makikita po natin if you can browse back through time sa Facebook page ni CCC, nagkaroon po tayo ng mga ACT Local na mga webinars. So that was a 4 weeks of consecutive na mga webinars tackling yung topics and subjects that are relevant sa climate change planning for the local government. So basically, nakapag-create po tayo ng last year, nakapag-create po tayo ng Northern Panay. This is just an example. In Northern Panay Climate Change Consortium in which ni-utilize po natin yung mga HAIs found in the province or region to conduct yung mga technical capacity building in partnership with ating NGAs. So doon po pumapasok si DILG, si HLURB or si DHSUD, and then of course yung ating Pag-asa. And then we, as the CCC, bumababa din po kami to lead that, to facilitate yung process. And then most especially, we would like to, or the partnership would like to utilize po yung technical capacity of our HEIs and SUCs to provide assistance sa ating LGUs in coming up with their local climate change action plans, either that is a formulation, a ongoing development, or mainstreaming in existing and current plans, or an enhancement of an already existent na action plan. Ayun, so as na banggit nga po ni Joe earlier, meron po tayong dalawang issuances on the climate change expenditure tagging. While this orientation is concerned with the national CCET, again, what we would like to appeal is yung technical assistance and research and extension role and capacity of our SUCs to provide technical advisory sa ating mga LGUs in terms of local climate change expenditure tagging. Ayan. So basically yung purpose po natin for the LGUs is for them identify, prioritize, and tag yung mga CCPAPs of all departments and offices in their annual investment programs. And for us, the oversight agencies, we would like to take stock of CCPAPs and to track and report climate expenditures of LGUs. So basically, what we want is to capture ano po yung accomplishments of climate actions, adaptation and both mitigation, and to an extent, disaster risk reduction by tracking yung or by consolidating yung mga expenditures at the city, municipality, and provincial level. Similar to the national CCET, meron din po tayong CCET LGU Help Desk. Kami po ni Joe, kami po yung nagmaman ng LGU Help Desk, which will provide or which can provide the LGU direct technical advisory services. So magpo-provide po tayo ng email later sa bandang huli. While at the same time, si LGU will have to furnish yung ating CCC ng kanilang annual investment programs usually submitted sa DILG and DBM. So in interest po of the CCC in the annual investment programs of the LGUs is to get lang po yung tag ng mga CCPAPs and to an extent, if available, yung kanilang quality assurance and review form. So si DBM comes in here, si ating LGRCB arm of the DBM, sila po ay nagpo-provide ng policy advisory annually through their local budget memorandum, reminding and encouraging yung ating mga LGUs to tag yung mga climate change PAPs. And of course, in partnership with the DILG, nagda-dovetail po si CCC sa kanilang mga capacity building para maisama po yung topic on the local climate change action planning, expenditure tagging. Ayan, so as you may have seen, ito po yung annual investment program that was amended in 2016. Previously, meron lang po tayong 10 na mga columns. After the issuance of the JMC, dinagdag po natin yung columns 12, 13, and 14 to accommodate yung adaptation, budget for adaptation, budget for mitigation, and that particular CC typology code that is being used. Yun, so na-familiarize na po tayo sa typology. So similar po sa ating national climate change, national CCET, it is the same alphanumeric na character that will categorize yung PAP nyo by objective, so adaptation mitigation, by thematic or alignment to the thematic priority. We have 7, and sub-priorities within those thematic priorities, and what instrument is the delivery of the PAP will come into. Yun po. Ito po yung mga sub-priorities. Well, ito pong just to note, when you are advising po or when the time comes na mag-a-advise po tayo providing assistance sa ating mga local government units, just have to note na yung typologies for the national CCET do not apply sa ating local CCET. And that it just means na magkaiba po yung set of typologies for the national and the local. So for the local CCET, mas more adjusted po yung mga descriptions of the PAPs to those activities that are normally being budgeted po ng ating mga local governance. But just to note, magkaiba din po yung mga sub-priorities found in the national typology and those for the local. So for food, we have 2, agriculture and livestock, as well as yung ating fishery. Si water sufficiency is addressing ating water supply, water and sanitation, and yung ating flood protection. So for this case, yung ating flood protection is found sa ating water sufficiency. And then for environmental stability, andun po yung ating forest and biodiversity. And remember, andito po pumapasok yung solid waste management. For for human security naman, dito po pumapasok yung ating mga plans and programs as well as DRR na mga activities dun po sa settlements and local land use. And just to note, nandito din po pumapasok yung health concerns. So dito po pumapasok yung mga food and waterborne diseases, yung mga climate and emerging mga climate sensitive diseases. Ayan po dyan sa human and community health. And then fifth is yung ating climate smart and industries and services. Doon po yung mga ating mga tertiary economic activities such as tourism, trade services, and yung ating mga green and environmentally friendly industries. And then of course, yung ating sustainable energy. Dito po pasok yung ating energy efficiency and power generation. And also, just to note, dito po pumapasok yung mga road infrastructures sa ating transportation and communication na subsector. And of course, yung ating knowledge and capacity development, dun po pumapasok yung ating education and climate science. Ayun po, similar to the decision tree ng ating national CCET, if your PAP is explicitly a climate change adaptation and all of the budget or all of the program is related to climate change adaptation, then we tag all of the amount. However, if just a component of the program is related to adaptation, then we just tag that particular amount. Same po dun sa ating mitigation. Again, not to be confused po with disaster risk mitigation. Yung ating mitigation po ay those activities that lessen yung ating greenhouse gas emissions as well as increase or enhance yung ating mga carbon sinks or yung ating mga forests. And lastly is yung ating CC typology code CC typology code na column. So again, be wary po when providing advisory sa ating mga local governments. Be wary po of yung mga transcription errors, especially sa ating CC typology code. Kasi po medyo maliit po yung figure, medyo madami yung figure, and then may mga dash and spaces po minsan na na-observe tayo na i-input in this column. Ayan, to better understand and better align yung ating CLUP and CDP sectors to the NCCA priorities, we made the precedents to illustrate ano po ba yung connection niya or alignment niya. So at the local level, magkaiba po yung ating mga nakikitang sectors, development sectors, to those that are found sa ating NCCA priorities. So bakit pag pinag-uusapan yung CLUP and CDP, pinag-uusapan po natin yung sectors. Pero pag dumating po sa NCCA priorities, hindi na po sector yung tawag sa kanila but rather development priorities. So that is because yung ating mga thematic priorities of the NCCAP are multi-sectoral, such as yung ating food. It does not just involve yung ating DA, yung ating irrigation, or yung ating agrarian reform, but rather it also includes yung water, yung ating mga water agencies, as well as yung ating ecological balance. So may overlap po yung mga roles such as ni DNR at yung ating mga water constituents sa food security na thematic priority. That is as well sa ating water sufficiency as well as yung ating ecological and environmental stability. So lahat po yan ay multi-sectoral. So just to give or illustrate po yung alignment, so if you're talking about the social sector and meron kang PAPs that are related to climate change in the education.
Dapat mapaayos mo yan kasi parang open pa rin sa atin.
Okay. Pag meron kang PAPs under the education sector, they are most likely to be found sa mga dun sa typologies relating to knowledge and capacity development. Kung meron ka namang health and nutrition, they are most likely to be found sa human security as well as for those sa shelter. Dito naman po tayo sa primary economic activity. So ito po yung ating mga production, environment, natural resource-based na mga production activities. So when we are talking about crops, livestock, fishery, of course, yung ating forestry, then we can find these typologies sa ating food security. And we can dito po din na-demonstrate yung pagiging multisectoral niya kasi nakikita din po natin sila sa ibang sector such as water and yung sa ating ecology. In terms of secondary economic activities or those that are extractive such as mining and manufacturing, we can see them dun sa ating ecological and environmental stability na priority or sa CSIS or sa industries and services. And lastly, sa ating service sector or yung tertiary economic activities, we can find them dun sa thematic priority na finance and CSIS. Of course, di makakalimutan yung ating infrastructure na sector sa ating CLUP CDP, irrigation, here sa ating food, in terms of power generation and transport, dun po natin hahanapin sa sustainable energy. But when it comes about to flood control and drainage as well as waterworks and sewerage, hanapin po natin siya dun sa water sufficiency. Ito po yung alignment for our infrastructure sa ating mga social infrastructures, usually found sa ating human security. On the other hand, when we talk about ENR, pag forest, dun po siya, meron po tayong forest activities that have typologies sa ating food, water, and industries na thematic priorities. Comes to mineral lands, andun lang po siya sa ating ecological and environmental stability. And when it comes to water resources, dun po siya papasok sa ating environmental stability management. Ayun, so I'm pretty sure na na-share na po ni Joe sa inyo yung presentation deck as well as yung materials and tools that are needed for ating CCET. I will also be uploading yung ating tinatawag na CCET analysis tool. But basically, what this is just a copy-paste na template to automatically generate po yung ating mga charts and related na analytics po. So we will be sharing that under yung ating local CCET na folder. Right, Joe? Ayun. So, similar sa present ni Joe kanina, ganito din po yung decision tree of yung ating local CCET. So, again, we remember na if it is explicitly an climate adaptation or mitigation, then we tag all of the budget. But if only the components are related to climate change, then we tag that certain amount po. And of course, yung ating quality review and assurance form. So dito lang po tinitignan yung relevant and coherent to the existing plans and development priorities of the local government, yung mga tinag na CCPAP. So titignan dito kung relevant po ba yung ginamit ng mga climate risks as well as yung literature or reference material na pinagkuhanan for those climate risks. And we also see here yung alignment of PPA with LGU and provincial na mga plans po. Yun po, as nabanggit ko po kanina, kami po ni Joe ang tinatawag na CCET Help Desk with a lot of support from our division. You can email us yung questions, queries, and comments dito po sa mga email attached po. Yes, I think my question po. Okay po. And that is the end of my presentation. I think my question lang po. See in the chat box. And po. So just a clarification po, I'm answering on behalf of Ms. Sandy. From our existing programs projects in 2021, we will identify from it which addresses the CC. Is this referring po to the national or the local na CCET po? Okay, but just to either national or local po ito, then we just from the existing po, we identify which are related to climate change based on, babalik po tayo dun sa ating quality assurance and review based on the objective and then titignan po natin just to further assess po yung tagging that will be done. Titignan po natin yung climate risk na ina-address niya as well as yung literature or yung basis for determining it as climate change related po.
Thanks, Franz. Inaano muna namin, ano, kasi baka mag-echo lang kami. Nandito lang din kami sa room. So anyways, so thank you very much dun sa mga questions din ninyo, no? Just to also reiterate, the reason why we are presenting to the SUCs, both the national and the local budget tagging process is because sa mga budget officers po at mga planning officers ng SUCs, ang susundin po natin ay yung national CCET process po natin. Kasi so babasahin po natin yung National Budget Memorandum ng DBM and then including yung mga forms po natin. So we will be using po yung national CCET process. Now, why are we also presenting to you yung local CCET? Yun ay dahil sa mga requests din ng mga LGUs for some of the SUCs to support them in doing din po their LCCAPs, for instance. So maganda rin po na maintindihan din po ng mga climate change focus din po ng mga SUCs, kung meron man po kayong mga climate change focus din po, na maintindihan din po natin yung local CCET process kasi doon po natin makikita kung paano po tinatag ng mga LGUs at kung saan po tayo pwedeng makapag-support po sa mga LGUs na yon. And we wanted to just share with you the GAA provisions. Ito yun, no? So yung 2021 GAA provision po yung 2021 GAA natin, and sinuyod po namin doon yung mga climate-related special and general provisions po, no? So isasama din po natin ito sa ipapadala po namin sa inyong mga reference materials, and we just wanted to highlight din po yung section 11 for SUC. So may special mention po sa 2021 GAA po natin that for SUCs po, no, in terms of provision of technical support to local governments. So yung SUCs in coordination with CCC and DILG shall support LGUs in the preparation and enhancement of LCCAPs and CLUPs, including the conduct of CIDRA and cascading of relevant climate-related capacities and technology. So, in case po na may mag-request po ng mga LGUs po sa inyo to itap po yung mga SUCs po natin, so nandun din po kasi yun sa 2021 GAA po natin, no? So, yun po yung reason kung bakit din po namin ini-introduce din po sa inyo. Paano po naman din ginagawa ng mga LGUs yung pagtatag din po ng kanilang program. So doon po nila pinapasok sa AIP po. Kung may mga questions din po kayo in terms of yung mga relevant materials din po for yung local CCET and even yung mga submissions din po ng mga LGUs din po, binigay na din po kanina ni Franz yung link po natin for you po. Please feel free po to email us your queries din po, and we will try our best po to answer all your concerns din po. So yun, kaya po sinishare din po namin sa inyo yung process naman po ng mga LGUs na yun. And in fact, in our LCCAP training workshops din po, and nandito din po yata sa meeting room din yung aming mga colleagues who are providing technical assistance din po to local governments, may isa po kami ding module on CCET for LGUs. And usually po, we also invite po yung mga SUCs na nandun din po sa areas na yun po. So this is actually our first time to conduct a separate session for SUCs just for CCET, kasi we recognize din po yung importance din po na kailangan tutukan din po namin yung mga SUCs din po para matulungan din po namin sila kung paano po ba magtag ng mga magtag po for your climate change related PAPs din po, no? Kasi sa bagong budget memorandum po ng DBM, nakalagay po doon na kailangan po isubmit muna sa CCC at ma-review po muna namin before po nila before po nila tanggapin sa OSBP. So kailangan po ma-submit din po namin sa DBM na certify po namin yung submissions po ng mga SUCs for their climate tag plans and programs, para po pag nag-go signal na din po si CCC na yes, na-review na po namin to at tama po yung typologies po na nilagay po nila, maire-reflect din po sa DBM po yun. So before po kasi nung inintroduce po yun, okay lang, we allow po yung kahit hindi pa po muna dumaan sa CCC. Pero mas strict na din po ngayon kasi this is actually the second or third year na po na kailangan yung may instructions din po. I-share po namin sa inyo, Franz, nakikita ba? Yung yung naka-share ba yung BP201F?
Yes po.
So ito po yun. So nakalagay din po dito yung note po that the QAR form approved by the CCC as prescribed by DBM CCC JMC 2013-01 will be submitted as annex to this form. So kailangan po muna ma-secure po yung approval po ng CCC before po yun maipasok din po sa system. So yun po ngayon that's the reason why we decided din po in terms of yung nag-usap din po kami ni DBM, we have to have a separate session for the SUCs just for CCET para po to make sure that we are able to go through the process din po ng certification po ng mga submissions po. So there is a question, ako na ba sasagot ito? So sige. About the CC typology, sorry, ayan. What if the activity is considered both as an adaptation and mitigation? So magandang question po yan. Marami din po kasing questions din po ang mga NGAs po sa amin about this. Ang limitation po ngayon ng CCET is that, and even yung system po namin, both DBM and CCC, is that one PAP, one typology. So, ang nangyayari po nun, it's actually possible to have one PAP that has several components po na may adaptation, may mitigation. Kailangan po natin mag-decide lang din po ano po yung mas malaki. If it's mostly adaptation, then adaptation po yung gagamitin po nating typology. So yun po yung actually yung limitation din po ng system din po ngayon. That's why we are in the process din po of assessing how do we improve the system po so that we would be able to adequately capture po yung mga components din po, yung mga subcomponents din po ng mga PAPs. So yun po. So you need to decide po one typology po. Either adaptation siya or mitigation din po siya. So yun po yung limitation po ng system sa ngayon. So kung wala na po tayong questions, I think we are actually in the last leg of our activity for today. Siguro po yung synthesis lang din po and yung ways forward lang din and reminders po sa mga SUCs po natin, particularly po yung mga budget and planning officers. May I call on Joe just to reiterate lang din yung deadlines natin. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sandy. So again, as communicated kanina nung sa PowerPoint presentation on National CCET, we're going to share with you the CCC Memorandum Circular on the timeline for CCET and Quality Assurance and Review Form. So for our timeline, please don't forget po the deadline for the submission of required CCET documents sa CCC, ito po yung CCET QAR form and BP201F. Ang deadliest deadline po natin ay March 25. So meron pa po almost 1 month for the SUC to develop and to submit the necessary documents. Kindly disregard na lang ito dahil ito po ay para sa national government agencies. Nag-create po talaga si CCC ng special session for SUC para din po matutukan din po namin ng SUC for the CCET. And then after you submitted your CCET documents on or before March 25, the help desk will provide feedbacks and comments on March 26 to April 16. But makapag-submit po kayo ng mas maaga din pong makakapagbigay ng feedback ang help desk po sa inyo. And then next, submission of the revised QAR. Once makapagbigay po kami ng feedback on how to improve or adjust the QAR, on April 16 to 30, April 30 po yung deadliest deadline for the submission of revised QAR and BP201F. And lastly, the last day for the CCC to issue certification ay May 7, 2021. Since yung deadline po natin to submit yung budget sa OSBP ay May 11, we are adjusting lang po para may time po kayo to upload all of your budget documents sa OSBP and to submit kay DBM before the May 11 deadline. So, yun lang po yung aming few reminders. Again, if you have any questions, concerns, or clarification, please feel free to contact the CCET Help Desk at the emails provided po sa ating chat box po. For national governments and SUCs, yung CCET Help Desk at climate.gov.ph po, yung ating gagamitin. Ito rin po, nakapost din po sa ating screen, or yung iodccc.cco@gmail.com. Since po naman na nakapag-register na kayo sa ating orientation, familiar na rin po kayo sa mga emails na po na ito. But if ever lang na given na mayroong mga connectivity issues at hindi nyo po rin makontak ang help desk via email, we're also putting a mobile number here sa memorandum circular. And we're going to share din na lang via email our landline number. Pero just in case po, pwede rin po dito sa binigay namin mobile number since naka-work from home or alternative working arrangement pa rin po ang Climate Change Commission. So, yun lang po. Before I turn over to Ms. Sandy, again, if there are any more questions, clarification, or concerns po.
Thank you, Joe, for the reminder. So hopefully po you were able to capture the deadlines po, no, that we've indicated. So we just wanted to again remind everyone that all the relevant presentations and the reference materials po will be emailed to you. So make sure lang din po, no, so sa mga naka-register po, we already have your emails. Sa mga hindi po naka-register pero nandito po sa ating meeting room, please po, i-email nyo lang po kami doon sa CCET Help Desk at climate.gov.ph para po maisama po namin kayo doon sa listahan po namin na bibigyan ng link for the recording and even the reference materials din po. And so paki-email lang po kami, no, para malaman po namin yung mga email addresses din po, especially those na hindi po nakapag-register. We wanted to also thank the members po or the participants po from the SUCs from Luzon and the National Capital Region for attending this training for today. Tomorrow naman po yung Visayas and then Friday po yung mga Mindanao SUCs po natin. We wanted to also thank DBM and CHED for helping us coordinate this first time orientation po namin for SUCs on CCET. So sila po yung nakatulong po namin para po ma-coordinate po namin itong event na ito. We wanted to also say thank you din po kay Director Cecil ng DBM. She's still here. At saka po si Director Tess ng CHED. Nandito din po sila the whole day po, no? So thank you very much po sa mga SUCs po natin and stay safe po and good afternoon. Thank you po.